Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we get set for Super Bowl 55 in Tampa between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. Kevin Rogers with you as we'll take a look at player props and team props. Which ones are the ones to look at coming up on Sunday for the big game? We'll see if the Chiefs win their second straight title or if Tom Brady can bring home a seventh Super Bowl ring in his career, as we are joined now by Paul Bovi, one of the top NFL handicappers on VegasInsider.com. He was the money leader in 2019. He's second in 2020 in money. He's got a lot of good information on these props coming up for Sunday. And Paul, let's begin with the Kansas City Chiefs and player props. Which ones do you like? Which ones do you recommend to play?
All right, I'm going to start off with Darrell Williams over 1.5 receptions. Now, Tampa Bay is weak against the running backs coming out of the backfield. In fact, against Green Bay, between Jones, Dillon, and Williams, 9 receptions in 11 attempts. And I think Darrell Williams will split the time with Edwards, and he will get probably 2 to 3 receptions. You can go over the 1.5 and lay $1.30. You can go over the 2.5 and get plus money. But again, 26 receptions in 16 games, and I think he'll be effective here. There'll be some short dump offs due to the deterioration, I would call it, of the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. And they'll be doubling down on those receivers, especially Tyreek Hill. So I think you'll get a few receptions here, and it's safe to go over the number.
What about with Le'Veon Bell and what he can do coming up on Sunday?
All right, so it's all about the number, Kevin. I got an outstanding number on this one, and if you could find it, I would take it under 3.5 yards first carry. I think it's plus EV at even money, because the number to me should be 2.5 to 3. And actually, you can find spots where 2.5 going over, you'll actually get plus money. So if you could find the 3.5 on Bell, I would grab it. I don't think he's much of a runner, and he's going against a very stout run defense in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is their strength as opposed to their secondary.
Now, what about Patrick Mahomes? I know a lot of people are going to want to see what your thoughts are on this. And Mahomes, who started a little slow in last year's Super Bowl, had a big second half. What do you think about Mahomes coming up on Sunday?
Well, you know, a lot of these props, you can't just handicap the player. You have to handicap the game. So, of course, if you believe Tampa Bay is going to spring out to a big lead, you would want to go Patrick Mahomes over on his passing yardage. And if not, they may take their foot off the gas, try to establish a little bit of a running game, which they may be able to do because Tampa Bay will be focused on stopping their passing game. Because as you know, or as most people know, in the first game, Tyreek Hill went medieval on him, 13 catches for 260 yards. So I think Mahomes, you have to use your opinion here to determine where you want to go. Now, personally, I went over 19.5 yards rushing because I felt it was a very favorable number from the opener at 30.5. I think they overcorrected it. He'll be forced out of the pocket on a few occasions. Again, I will note the offensive line and the weakness. And because of that, I think he'll go over the 19.5 in terms of rushing yards, and that's the direction I'm going. But of course, I may take it back if I spot a 25.5 and I can grab myself a 6-yard middle and take my risk off the table.
Now, shifting over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Paul, which player props do you like with them?
All right, so I feel that Kansas City is weak against the tight end. And we've seen a couple games ago, Knox for Buffalo had 6 catches. Now, prior to that, his top output was 4. Last against Cleveland, you saw David Njoku go off for 4 catches, and Austin Hooper got in on the action with 2 catches. And against Miami, the combination of Smythe and Gesicki, 8 catches. I just feel as though there's weakness here against defending the tight end. So I'm going to look actually to Cameron Brate, who treated me well last game I went over the 2.5. He snuck in there. He got the third reception. And right now his number varies. I actually went over the 2.5, laid $1.60, went under 3.5, laid $1.20, went over the 3, and laid $1.10. My sweet spot there is 3, but I also feel that Brate will get in on the action. He's been the focal point in terms of tight ends for Tom Brady. But on the other side, although Gronk has gotten no attention from Tom Brady, I think this is going to be different. And I went under last game and I was rewarded as he only had 1 catch. But I think this time Gronk's going to get his fair share because I don't think Brady will want to see him right off in the sunset on a sour note. So you can look to Gronk to get 3 to 4 catches. If you can grab him at 2 minus $1.50, that's the best way to play it. If you can get him 2.5 at plus money, I grab that as well. Another player prop that I went to is Scotty Miller under 1.5 catches receptions. Now this one is linked to Antonio Brown because when the season started, Scotty Miller was a mainstay in terms of weaponry for Tom Brady. 25 catches in 7 games. And when Antonio Brown came into the fray, he's only had 12 catches in the last 10 games. And of course, 2 catches in this championship game. And Antonio Brown sat out with a knee injury. So this one is linked to Antonio Brown. If Brown plays, Scotty Miller is definitely an underplay. I got this at a minus $1.10, minus $1.20. It's up to $1.50. I believe in certain spots, maybe $1.45. But again, I would check the status of Antonio Brown, who I also played under the number. I got a favorable one at 4, minus 110. I think obviously Tom Brady has many weapons, many mouths to feed here, many choices in terms of receivers. And Antonio Brown is dinged up. And I don't think he gets to 5. So I think 4 is a safe number. There are 3.5s at plus money floating out there. I would opt for the 4 and lay a little bit more or actually take the worst of it in terms of the juice, which is minus 110.
Now, Paul, taking a look at team props coming up for Super Bowl 55. What are your thoughts on some of the team props, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Okay, so if this game stays close, and here's where you have to handicap the game as well, because if you believe the game is going to stay close, which I feel it will for a while at least, then you would want to go over Tampa Bay's rushing total, which is 90.5. I feel they will try to feed Fournette and Jones and get them to grind the clock out. And I think that's a solid play, but if you believe the Chiefs will take a big lead, of course, that's going to force Tom Brady into throwing the football. Now, I should note that in the first game, when these two teams played earlier in the season, 27-24 to the Chiefs, Tampa Bay had 44 yards of total offense 5 minutes into the third quarter. And of course, Tom Brady, down 27-10, had to abandon the running game. They still got 75 yards and 13 carries. So again, it's something you have to handicap based on which direction you think the game will go. If it stays close for a half, I think you're going to see Tampa Bay try to pound the rock constantly to grind the clock down, slow the game down, and keep them in there and use what their strength, which is, I wouldn't call it a strength, but I would call it attacking the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs.
And also defensively, your thoughts on Tampa Bay's sack total?
Well, I think I think Tampa Bay is going to put pressure on Mahomes. What a lot of people don't realize is at this point, this is a very patchwork offensive line. Allegretti was a backup at the beginning of the year. Remmers was signed for the minimum. He's been with 6 teams in 9 years in the NFL, and he's going to start at left tackle in place of Fisher. Then you have Wisniewski. He was a backup at the beginning of the year. And then the right tackle, Wiley, was the right guard. So he's shifting positions. And they lost during the year Mitchell Schwartz. And of course, they lost Eric Fisher, as I mentioned, and they also lost Asmel from the offensive line. So the biggest liability here for the Kansas City Chiefs, and if there's anything that's going to prevent them from winning this football game, is the offensive line. Tampa Bay should be on the attack, and I think they'll get to Mahomes more than 1.5 times.
Paul Bovi, one of the top NFL handicappers out there on VegasInsider.com, also a master of the props, as you heard his prop plays right there for Super Bowl 55. Paul, we appreciate the time and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you, Kevin.
And there's Paul Bovi right there. I am Kevin Rogers. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider. And we'll also have picks for Super Bowl 55 coming up later in the week as well. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you again soon, and best of luck with your bets.